There are so many action anime that get produced nowadays that get lost in time, ending up getting no new season or poorly adapted that you probably can't even name 5 of these shows since you've already forgotten all of them. Jujutsu Kaisen is not one of those. It's a masterclass in how your first season should go. Every aspect of the show synchronizes so wonderfully with each other, creating something that no battle shonen fan should miss out on. It gets so much right that I don't even know where to start. How about the animation? The animation is just so crisp, I'm at a loss of words. Every single fight scene is just so clean. I don't even want to know how much time and money went into making this show look so good. And while some fights were better animated than others, pretty much every single fight scene made me question my existence as an animator. The opening fight scene could not have been any better. Gojo vs Sukuna is one of the most well-made fights of the season because it accomplishes everything it needs to get done with such eloquence. Itadori has superhuman abilities but just doesn't understand anything about curses. It's because of that Fushiguro is instantly able to one-up Itadori in strength, while at the same time introducing the audience to Jujutsu sorcery. But still, Fushiguro seems to be outmatched by the curse, until Sukuna, and the bar that was set just burst through the roof. He starts monologuing about massacring everyone, the woman, the children, and it's starting to look like raps for everyone there. Just the presence that he brought in that scene shifted the entire atmosphere, from uh-oh we may die to hopeless despair, until this goofy white-haired Kakashi looking dude pulls up with a bag of desserts. And now, if you want to talk entrances, this is an entrance. Gojo is just untouchable. This short sequence of moves just hooked me right into the show. Absolutely stunning animation. In just those scenes, we learned that physical abilities don't mean anything without cursed energy. We were introduced to Jujutsu sorcery, got introduced to another main character, a main antagonist, and was shown the power gap between sorcerers firsthand. Not only were we introduced to the characters, but in the short time they were there, we got a good insight into their personalities. So much in only a few scenes, and from that point on, it was clear that this show was about to go hard. And it really did go hard. The story was actually very unique in that it wasn't focused on 1 to 2 arcs. Rather, they split the 24 episodes up into mini arcs. While most battle shonen follow a single arc or storyline with a set amount of episodes, Jujutsu Kaisen has a bunch of what feels like mini-stories that only last a few episodes. Episodes 1 through 3 was the intro, 4 through 6, fight against the special grade, 7 through 13, Junpei, 14 to 21, Sister School Exchange fight, and 22 to 24 was, the Blood Guy Suicide Bridge mini-arc. And now, usually I wouldn't like this. Having this many short stories in one season would make the pacing feel extremely off. But because these first 24 episodes acted as an introduction, these mini-arcs did an excellent job fleshing out most of the main cast in a way that felt really organic. A lot of the time, anime characters will build friendships within just 10 seconds, making the following episodes feel unnatural. Having a handful of these mini-arcs allowed for a lot of the main cast to build stronger relationships, which in turn will make the rest of the story and the upcoming seasons feel a lot smoother and more natural. Each mini-arc had its own charm to it, focusing a lot more on certain characters, but overall, I think that other than one arc, which I'll get to later, everything was great. The intro I already went over, amazing. The special grade fight reinstated the power gap and really brought in a very dark tone that I think works perfectly with the show. Junpei arc had its flaws, which I'll get to later, but overall I think that it was a good introduction into one of the main antagonists, and I think that Nanami was a really well written character. The school exchange fight was the longest, mainly because it helped to flesh out a lot of the other students, which I think they did a wonderful job of. I love some of the upperclassmen. Inumaki, Panda, and Todo were really unique in their own ways and make for great side characters. And the final 3 episodes were surprisingly good. With such little backstory to the antagonist, I think that the music and choreographed fight scenes really help tell a story. The amount of raw emotion in those final few episodes is extremely hard to pull off in just 3 episodes, but even with the limited time, Jujutsu Kaisen executed beautifully. I also absolutely love the humor. The darker theme of the entire show makes these lighthearted, goofy moments really funny. It's a great break from the intense action, making the comedy funnier, but also the action scenes more intense due to sudden shifts in mood. Plus, I think it's hilarious how well some of these scenes are animated. Scenes that have little to nothing to do with the plot are animated so beautifully. Just one of these breakaway scenes has the entire budget of one of the latest seasons of Seven Deadly. But you know how Jujutsu Kaisen is really able to separate itself from many of the other battle shonen? Now, you may think it's from its amazing animation or darker themes, but it's actually the characters. Specifically, the female characters. It's a well-known trope that battle shonen women are useless. Even when they try to be useful, they're useless. And that's not me being sexist, it's just facts. But not here. Jujutsu Kaisen actually writes girls like real characters and not just love interests and characters to be saved by the protagonist. Kugisaki, honestly, for the first 23 episodes, I thought she was weak. She at least had a personality, but it seemed to take so much more effort for her to do damage than anyone else. In the last episode of the season, when Itadori picked her up and ran away, I was like, dang, really? I can't believe she's just your average shonen woman. Until I was absolutely wrong. I thought her power was kinda dumb, until she went sicko mode. Not only did she actually help in the fight, but she was the main reason why they won, really proving herself worthy as a Jujutsu sorcerer. She always acted kind of off, but I never expected her to fight like this. For real though, compare Kugisaki to so many of the other battle shonen girls. They either have one line, are completely useless, or just get a small power up from genetics or friendship or whatever. Here's Sakura's best feat in part 1. She cuts her hair, and then proceeds to do virtually nothing. Versus... she really takes her power into her own hands, and it's a real breath of fresh air. But that doesn't mean all women in battle shonen have to be this intense to be considered a good character. Miwa is a wonderfully written character. She can hold her own for the most part, but when it comes down to it, she's definitely on the weaker side. But what makes her so relatable is that she just accepts it. While everyone was fighting, she was sleeping, and for the rest of the season, she refers to herself as useless Miwa. Which I think is great, because in all honesty, her classmates probably don't care she was sleeping. It's all in her head, and she's actually decently strong. Not a powerhouse, but not weak. She doubts her own ability and overthinks what her peers think of her, even though, in reality, no one really cares. Oh, kind of like real life. Good character. And lastly, Mai and Maki are a great dynamic. Mai was introduced as a bitch, acting all high and mighty towards everyone around her, but it's later revealed that it's all a cover-up in order to shelter her own pain. And Maki, she's just great. She can't use curse energy, can't see curses without special glasses, but decided to become a Jujutsu sorcerer anyways just to shove it in her parents' face. What I love about her and so many of the other characters in this show is how everyone feels real within the show. Most of them aren't joining out of the goodness of their heart. Nanami just needs a job, Maki wants to prove a point, Kugisaki straight up says that she doesn't even care about people, and Itadori just wants to choose how he dies. Everyone has their own selfish reasons that motivate them. They aren't just risking their lives to be heroes. They have reasons. Oh, almost like real life. But who cares about all of that nerdy stuff? Let's talk about the real shit. The fights. Just absolute adrenaline-fueled hand-to-hand clean as all hell fights. I'm telling you that if you were to watch Jujutsu Kaisen for just the fight scenes, you'd still be satisfied with the show. Every person part of Studio Mappa drinks like 13 Red Bulls an hour and cranks out 500 hand-drawn frames in like 5 minutes. These guys are crazy. They're able to make these characters feel so fast and smooth, it's eye candy. And it's not just the animation though, it's how they fight. Their powers are so unique. Each sorcerer's ability vastly different from one another, as they clash against each other with some of the coolest fight music in any anime. They use J-rap in their battle themes. No one does that. The hype is through the roof. What I really love about the fights is, other than a few fights which were placed in there to solidify the power gap, these fights are all relatively even. Nobody's power is too OP. The outcome of a fight relies more on who can use their abilities more optimally, rather than who has a higher power level. It's fights like these with real depth to them, that made Part 1 Naruto feel so special, while the end of Naruto Shippuden was feeling more like Dragon Ball Z. Add on to the fact that these fights aren't meaningless either. Jujutsu Kaisen isn't afraid to kill off its characters, making some fights really feel like a gamble. There's real stakes with each fight. And to make fights even better, some characters simply exude a powerful aura. You see Sukuna or a Gojo get serious, and you can just feel the atmosphere shift. Plus, they have a JoJo's reference. It's lit. Jujutsu Kaisen is almost a masterpiece. But every show has their fair share of problems. Luckily, in this case, the issues are relatively minor. First, the way Junpei's arc ended didn't really make much sense to me. Him dying was fine. It showed the viewer that the show was willing to kill off the main cast if needed, adding tension to every single fight scene, and it was a real eye-opener to Itadori. The main problem I had was it felt like it was skipping around some parts. His mother's death was a bit confusing, and his instantaneous change to emo boy didn't feel very smooth. He was given jellyfish powers, and then he died. Maybe it was just me, but the anime felt like they were skipping around some parts, and his whole transformation left me a bit confused. Second, the way they introduced the antagonist didn't make too much sense either. I get that they're curses, but their origins aren't clear, how they formed a group isn't clear, and while I understand their goal, I feel like everyone in the group has different things in mind, and the motivation behind their actions isn't always clear. But these two issues don't bring the show down a whole lot. The positives greatly outweigh the negatives, and the show is amazing. The animation, fights, characters, music, atmosphere, and tone of the entire show is orchestrated so well with one another, creating a symphony of emotions and hype that is extremely difficult to replicate in any form of entertainment. I think I really did my best highlighting some of the key parts of the show, and honestly, if I could, I would make a 3+ hour video on every aspect of it. And I think that alone is a testament to its greatness. I give Jujutsu Kaisen a 4.7 out of 5. Jujutsu Kaisen is making huge strides in the anime community, and I'm super excited for the upcoming seasons. I just hope that I did it justice in my review. Anyways, thank you all for watching. As always, I really appreciate you sticking all the way until the end. If you enjoyed or found this interesting, I would really appreciate a sub, like, comment, or share. It really helps me out. Anyways though, with that, I will see you guys later. Bye.